Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline.
It's a dark.
Thanks for watching us. Yes, Smoking Jim, I still have my tan. It was a beautiful day. Did we hit 80 out there? Anybody know? I forgot to check. I think it was close. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Chip the Prophet Hayner. Smoking Jim Frazier. Zach Brenner. Everybody's here on time, folks. I think we set a record for this month, first time. And appreciate all the likes on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. Last I looked, it was 3,511. So thank you very much. We appreciate all those likes, and we'll pass them forward. Just ask Smoking Jim. He'll like anything.
And tell you it's the greatest.
Well, no, he won't say that. Well, yeah, he will. Thanks. Keep watching us on Verizon 32 everywhere. And I just had a discussion today. We're still on TV. We didn't make radio yet, and I know it's getting to be a joke out there with our panel because it's 3 years now. But I met Buddy and I met Bill, and they understand. They're from South Park. So why doesn't anybody else understand? Buddy and Bill know, so shout out to Buddy and Bill. Nice meeting you today. Hope you're enjoying the show. We're going to start talking sports shortly after I thank all the people on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park, for watching us. And we had a lot of great feedback. I'll get into that in a special segment about the first annual Zombie Walk. We'll talk about that. But we do talk sports. The first segment we talk about is what's on our mind. And we're going to do that right now. Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. What's on my mind? I got a brief statement that I got to read from Dave Cable after last night's appearance at Duke's Rib House and Grill. It goes as following. The views and comments expressed by Zach Brenner are just that, views and comments expressed by Zach Brenner, and by no means, and I stress by no means, or any affiliation with BPTV. If you'd like to see Zach Brenner in person, you can go to 128. Oh, come on, Dave. That's not right. Put out my real address. Okay. All right, I got you.
Hold on, let me see the signature on that.
What's really on my mind tonight, folks, is only in Dallas does a professional football team lose to a third-string quarterback that's not named Cousins and in no relation to Smoking Jim Frazier, not even on his draft board when he came out of Texas. I believe a few weeks ago, I just was flipping through the channels and I seen Colt McCoy on College Game Day giving some analysis, and then last night I see him on the field in Dallas whooping the Cowboys. So I enjoyed that very much. So I'm sure a lot of bettors didn't. My next thing that's on my mind is I'd like to ask Chip who the goalie was the other night in a 3-0 shutout at Nashville, one of the hottest teams in the NHL, who was 7-0 going into that game. I believe it was Marc-Andre Fleury, just another phenomenal performance and big shutout. And as I say that, the Pens take on New Jersey tonight, and he'll probably give up 3 goals in the first period because I put the kibosh on him. I want to wish everybody a happy Halloween. This is the last show before Halloween this weekend. I'm dressed appropriately, as is the Tiger, who's in full costume. Smoking Jim Frazier is himself, as always.
Hold it, you didn't mention my pumpkin-colored shirt.
Oh, Levine has a pumpkin-colored shirt.
Thanks, buddy.
It's better than that purple.
Nothing escapes you.
And speaking of purple, somebody told me don't ever wear purple again. Sorry to interrupt your little what's on your mind. Can you explain what that color is? Since we don't revisit, we'll do Budinsky here. Go ahead, keep going.
It's Halloween. And finally, the last thing that's on my mind, I'd like to give a shout out to the Still Valley Ironmen. After a lot of talk and comments, they are in the playoffs, and I believe both of these gentlemen have brackets, and they've already put Washington forward against Still Valley. But nevertheless, go Ironmen, and that's what's on my mind tonight, folks.
Thanks, Zach Brenner. I just would still like to see that signature on that note that you got from Dave Cable.
I'll show you. I'll give it to you
after the show.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
It's yours.
Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green,
It's coming.
you got to see Levine. That's little Antonio Brown, one hand in the end zone over the white cornerback. You're the only white cornerback in the NFL, brother. But what's on my mind is high school playoffs, and I just want to take about 30 seconds to a minute to go over some of these brackets. And in Quad A football, the premier team is Pine Ridgeland, and I'm going to do AAA last because they got the best teams in AAA. But Pine Ridgeland and Central Catholic should play for the championship on Friday, November 21st at Heinz Field, and I'll be there eating all day long in the press box.
I won't be there.
And then in Double A, I think South Fayette is the class defending champions, but I think this year Aliquippa is going to beat South Fayette and take the championship that South Fayette stole from them last year. In single A, but I do see in Double A, I didn't notice that Washington, PA is playing Steel Valley, and I did not notice that, but I got Washington.
Didn't you hear Zach Brenner talk about that?
Yeah, I got Washington.
You just
advancing.
ignored that cornerback.
Well, when you get to single A, we already know who you got.
But I got Beaver Falls beating Washington the next week to do some revenge for the Ironman. But congratulations on making the playoffs. I didn't see them in there.
Thank you.
In single A, couple of my good friends are coaching in single A.
Mention their names, please.
Wade, the coach Wade for Clareton, got the Bears playing great brand of football. But Ravenstall's daddy is coaching North Catholic, and North Catholic moved into a new school out in Wexford.
It's actually Cranberry.
Cranberry.
Right up off of 228.
Is that the same thing?
No, one's in Butler, one's in Allegheny County, one's in
Cranberry.
All our friends out in Cranberry and Wexford.
We're sorry.
Smoking Jim is giving you
Wexford
a
is
little
North
promo.
He
Allegheny
doesn't spend a
territory.
lot of time in the North Hills, folks.
But either way,
Wexford is North Allegheny territory.
But either way, they've recruited a great football team. They can recruit from all over, and there's some great football players up there in the north. And I'm
We'll take a road
What's
trip
going
out
on
there.
in single A? Did you announce it of who you think in single A?
Not yet.
I haven't heard the Bears.
Well, my best friend is coaching Beth Center.
What's his
Eddie
name?
Eddie Woods, who was part of some reverse discrimination in college. I've never seen a guy who was as big and as fast as Eddie Woods. Unfortunately, Eddie Woods played tailback, and most colleges think that the only tailback has to be African American, but they slipped up one time and put Eddie Woods in the starting lineup. He had 4 carries, 3 touchdowns, and a school record that still holds today, 265 yards.
On 4 carries?
On 4 carries. Eddie Woods had 4.3 speed, but he was part of reverse discrimination. That's why you don't see white cornerbacks and rarely see white tailbacks. And I have a big problem with that because Eddie could have played pro ball. But I got Beth Center getting beat by North Catholic. In the one side of the bracket, I got Clareton over Jeanette. And for the championship, I got North Catholic winning that. And now, finally, we'll go to AAA. Central Valley, who beat Penn Hills this year, is probably the best team in the state, any category. Thomas Jefferson is loaded. West Allegheny's already whooped
Woodland Hills.
So you know the 2 best teams in AAA is West Allegheny and Central Valley. They've already played each other. Central Valley beat them. But I have an upset. I have Thomas Jefferson upsetting West Allegheny and making it to the championship. I have Central Valley going all the way to the semifinals. But I got Gateway beating Ringgold. I got Gateway beating Hampton. I got Gateway upsetting Central Valley. And I got Gateway beating Thomas Jefferson for the AAA championship. Go Gators! And that's what's on my mind.
Smoking Jim, it was great except for your last 30 seconds.
Yep.
For all of you that don't know, Smoking Jim, he's an NFL scout. He's a Golden Quill award-winning writer.
Allegedly.
He's written for the New Pittsburgh Courier for years.
Supposedly.
Pittsburgh Sportsline magazine.
Yes, sir.
He writes for Jody with Slick Move Guide. Does a
Occasionally.
blog. He has some great stuff. He did a show just recently with her, but he is prejudiced
No,
about the Gators.
I just got to tell you one thing about Jim. I didn't know you wrote fiction.
But he does, hey, for the record,
He does have some
stay
fact.
in a palatial palace in God's country.
We learned that last night.
I didn't know what place you meant till you pulled my coat.
I had to explain it. We got your house on Google. We know who you are.
What it is, what it is.
And Zach Brenner
Bring it
had
last, bring it last.
and my point was, there's no disclaimer. He is prejudiced. He's a graduate of Gateway. He's proud of it, and all he sees is Gateway out there. Even if they're losing, they're winning. So now that you understand,
Best class I remember from high school was typing.
and that started his career.
And how many words per minute can you?
18. No, I heard it was 22 actually. You know why? There's not in Buffalo Wild Wings. There's not a jersey number 22. It's at his house. He stole it. They took it out of Monroeville's Buffalo Wild Wings. How do I know I was there? He couldn't meet me for 20 wings there, but he'll have them elsewhere. And that's thanks, Smoking Jim.
You're
We
welcome,
appreciate it. Chip the Prophet Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, I tell you what, one thing my friend Jim Frazier does, he is one heck of an act to follow, you know?
Thank you, sir.
Well, I tried to diffuse some of that with
But
the
you know,
disclaimer.
to just touch on, I'll tell you what, pay attention to the high school playoffs, the next few weeks. You know, the AAA, the AA, these divisions are stacked. I mean, you look at the top 4 teams in each of those divisions; they're all undefeated. The teams with one lost to one of the teams that are undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some great football played. If you get a chance to get out and see any of the games,
Anything near you up in Brentwood now?
well, they usually play a couple of rounds of the playoffs at Baldwin, which is my alma mater, and I generally go up, and for like $5 you go in and watch some great football. It's not a bad way to spend a
And it's
Friday
convenient
night.
because Baldwin's never in it.
No, they sure aren't. I tell you what, Baldwin hasn't been. They haven't been in it since I was a child.
Hey, don't worry, I'm with you right now. The Sandbox boys.
What's up?
I got the word that look for Keystone Oaks next year.
I always hear that.
I haven't
They're
heard it every
rebuilding.
year.
They're rebuilding.
They are rebuilding.
Just on a different note, Bethel Park kicked Baldwin's butt last weekend, so that's how well Baldwin does. Way to go Blackhawks. But what's on my mind, and we're getting down to the end of the baseball season. The World Series is 3 games for the Giants, 2 for the Royals. The Royals have performed beyond anybody's expectations, and they still there's still some fight left in that dog. Games 6 and 7 are tonight and tomorrow night, and I think the one thing that's working for the Royals right now, better than anything, is I don't think they're going to see Madison Bumgarner again. And I will
No,
talk.
and he did pitch 2 great games.
And I plan on touching on some of his feats in trivia time, but he has been quite phenomenal this year, and not only this year, over the last 3 playoff runs that the Giants have had since 2010. If they win the series tonight, and they will have won 3 titles in the last 5 years, which is in this day and age in baseball.
That's a dynasty.
That's a dynasty. There's no question about it. But
We'll cover more in a World Series segment.
I'm looking forward to watching the games tonight. Hopefully it'll be a Game 7 tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But that's what's on my mind. My baseball season's coming to a close. Woo!
Thanks, Chip. What's on my mind? We did talk Steelers yesterday on our Duke's Rib House and Grill, 1910 Cochrane Road, Pittsburgh 15220.
I love the place.
So we'll talk about that in a segment here shortly. I don't know if you have any fingers left. I know I'm missing 2.
Man, there was no meat on those.
All right, we'll get back to that. But anyhow, with the Steelers, we got to at least say on this show, that was the best Steeler quarterback performance ever. And everybody knows I'm not a Big Ben fan off the field.
How many years ago was that?
It doesn't matter. It's
It never
like
goes
you.
away?
It's like you. You don't forget anything, Al Capone. And that's how he is. But for other people, they're supposed to have a short memory. He got an elephant memory. If you dropped a paper or made a mistake, this young kid, well, 30, that's not that young anymore. Once you hit 30, buddy, forget about it. But I hit it a while ago. So anyhow, the Steelers, the only quarterback in NFL history, as you know, you've heard about it since the game time and everything, 2 500-plus yard games. 6 touchdown passes. And then the odd statistic that I found is there's never been a game in NFL history 51-34. Wow. I find that hard to believe with the thousands of games. So, that was shocking. And then it was also shocking since I made an announcement about the conspiracy theory with the guys tanking the game. For some reason, the passes were crisp. Guys caught balls. And there was an arc to a pass when he was throwing them, which was unusual. He got him in there. So it was just fantastic. I'm not a Todd Haley fan. I never thought he should have been here. I don't think he should be deified right now as the greatest coming of an offensive coordinator. The players perform. You get too much credit when they suck, and you get too much credit when they were great. They performed great offensively. The line, I'm constantly criticizing it. I don't know how you have a miracle. Cincinnati got shut out. And whether they're turning into the Bungles again or not, I don't know. But it could happen. But they did have a pretty good record and a good offense before, they went crazy here with the Colts, shutting them out. Their defense was great. Look what happened. All of a sudden, we started scoring. It was like one of those video games that Chip talks about in the SEC. We had that. And my sister Hope, shout out to her. She come up from New Jersey. Biggest fan in Jersey come up. She said she was nervous the whole game because she was worried about the Colts coming back. And they did come back a little bit. And the Steelers won. So my prediction for the Baltimore game, we'll beat them. And we'll talk a little more on Steelers there. So let's go Steelers. And we're not going to do revisitation. We're trying to keep this straight. Dave Cable, thanks. We're staying on topic here so far. And we'll go with Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Then I'll let you pick. Chip's going to pick our subjects after his trivia, or after Z time.
I hope you didn't interrupt Chip's trivia with your trivia about Ben being the only quarterback to go for a 500.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Was your
He didn't
trivia
touch
part
on
of
that.
Ben?
He's
Okay.
World Series.
No.
All right, my Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac goes all the way back to 2004. Just to give you guys what was happening during that time, especially in the war room. Bill Cowher, who I always said is a better GM than Kevin Colbert, but Bill Cowher was never as good a GM as Tom Donahoe. But Bill Cowher's philosophy when it comes to drafting was to never miss on the first-round draft choice. Always get a first-round draft choice that either will be an All-Pro or a Hall of Famer. So if you had and those type of players a lot of times play for 10 to 12 years. So in 12 years, you could have 6 Pro Bowlers on offense, 6 Pro Bowlers on defense, and Bill did a great job doing that. In 2003, Pittsburgh Steelers behind Tommy Turnover Maddox finished the season 6-10 and out of the playoffs. So Bill Cowher and his coaching staff got a chance to coach in the Senior Bowl game that year. And Bill Cowher absolutely fell in love with Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers was a mid to late round draft pick going into the Senior Bowl game. He ended up playing for Bill Cowher's team and ended up winning the MVP, and his draft stock went through the roof. So much so that Bill Cowher still thought that they had a shot to get him at 11, even though they might have had to even trade up a little bit to get him. But something unexpected happened the week of the draft. Eli Manning said he would never play for San Diego, and the rumor Mills was that one of the high-ranking executives for the San Diego Chargers and Archie Manning didn't get along from years back. So Eli Manning, when they drafted him with the first pick overall, would not even put the hat on his head from San Diego. But anywho, Bill Cowher and those guys never really even worked out Big Ben. They never was looking at Big Ben as a quarterback, even though he was my number 1 rated quarterback in that particular draft. They felt comfortable with Tommy Maddox and Charlie Batch, but they felt like Phillip Rivers was too good to pass over. But basically, since they hadn't drafted a quarterback in the first round, basically since 1970, which was Terry Bradshaw, here 34 years later, the fans wanted a quarterback, so they took Big Ben. But just give you an idea of some of the picks, and like I said, Bill Cowher was better than Kevin Colbert, but he wasn't the GM that Tom Donahoe was. But his philosophy was never to miss in the first round. First round, he got Big Ben, Hall of Famer. Second round, he got Ricardo Coakley, a bum.
He had so much promise.
Yeah. Third round, he got Max Starks. You know, no matter how you feel about him. In the fifth, they didn't have a fourth round pick that year. The fifth round, they got Nate Davey, or whatever, defensive end from Virginia Tech, didn't even make the team. Sixth round was Bo Lacey, didn't make the team. Sixth round, guy made the practice squad for a little bit. Really the biggest tight end I've ever seen from Penn State, Matt Kranchik. Big boy. Had good hands, but I don't think he really got an opportunity. In the seventh round, Eric Taylor didn't make it. Their sixth round pick didn't make it, but what helped the draft a little bit was because of Rooney's grandson. Rooney's grandson, who played at Washington and Jefferson, was a good football player. Dan, I believe it.
Isn't that where Coach Tomlin came from?
No,
William and Mary.
William and Mary,
yeah.
yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah, big difference.
After his career at Washington and Jefferson, he coached some high school football in North Carolina, and some kid just tore up that league. Went on to sit the bench for 4 years at North Carolina. The Steelers was looking for a walk-on running back. He says, take Willie Parker. Fast Willie Parker was a free agent pick. Kind of saved that draft class a little bit. But
and what year was that?
2004.
Thanks, Smokey
Hey,
Jim.
you know what?
welcome.
Could you clarify something for me?
Yes, sir.
Which Steeler head coach was responsible for Huey Richardson?
Steeler coach.
Uh-huh.
Huey Richardson was
that-
a
was that
year.
Chuck?
It was a year before Bill Cowher got there, so it was
Okay.
Chuck Noll and Tom Donahoe.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
they had already. Dick Haley was already with the New York Jets at that time.
The legend.
very good.
The legend, yeah.
Well, thank you. Now we have
Huey Richardson, that was good.
Chip's trivia time. What do you got, Chip?
What do I got? Well, you know, I was mentioning before about the World Series and about the performance of one Madison Bumgarner. Now, all year and for actually the last 4 years, well, the guy who's definitely going to win the Cy Young Award this year, Clayton Kershaw, left-handed pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, also probably the highest paid player in baseball now. You know, has just been lighting the league on fire. And I'm going to call him regular season Clayton because that seems what he does very well is he pitches very well in the regular season, and somehow he evaporates in the fall classics. And subsequently, the Dodgers get bounced, highest payroll, and they don't have any bullpen. So I can't believe that you spend $250 million and you can't get some relief pitchers in there. But be that as it may, well, Madison Bumgarner, the starting left-hander for the San Francisco Giants, happens to be the pitcher that quieted the Pirates' bats in the wild card playing game. He actually made it look like a man pitching against children, and he happened to do the same thing to the St. Louis Cardinals and the Washington Nationals, and subsequently, he's done it twice now to the Kansas City Royals. But, he's proving that he is the best postseason pitcher in baseball history. Now, just to give you an idea of what his accomplishments have been, and this guy is only 24 25 or 26 years old. So this is his third postseason run. He's already got 2 World Series rings, could possibly get another one. But his ERA, which is your earned run average, is the average runs that you give up per 9 innings. This is for a minimum of 25 innings pitched in the World Series era. Lowest ERA in the World Series. Madison Bumgarner, 0.29. Jack Billingham, who pitched for the Big Red Machine in the 70s, 0.036. Somebody you've never heard of, Harry Breachin, 0.083. Here's a name my friend Al will know, Babe Ruth, 0.87.
Is he that good?
He was one of the best left.
Some other names that you might recognize, Sandy Koufax,
Yeah.
0.095. Mariano Rivera, 0.99, and one of the all-time greats, Christy Matheson, 1.06. So what's been happening in this year's playoffs, if you've been paying attention, history's being made, and Madison Bumgarner, they're gonna unlock the vault for him, because when it comes time to re-sign him, he wins when it's important, when everything's on the line in the playoffs, and that's worth paying some money for. But just to kind of go back over the last couple of decades in baseball, October the 28th, the Dodgers, behind Pedro Guerrero's 5 RBIs, beat the Yankees to take the World Series in 6 games. That was in 1981. 1989 happened to be the year the World Series was interrupted because of an earthquake.
Yeah.
Oakland A's were playing the San Francisco Giants. And the Oakland Athletics swept the Giants in the World Series with a 9-6 win to win the title then. 1995, the Atlanta Braves won their first world title and only world title since they moved from Milwaukee. They beat Cleveland Indians in Game 6. Tom Glavine combined on a one-hitter with Mark Wohlers. Dave Justice hit a home run in the 6th inning for the deciding the deciding score there. Also, what do we got here? Pretty much, most of the stuff I have is just, World Series championships being wrapped up this year. But I'm really looking forward to an exciting game this evening. Hopefully I get to see a Game 7 tomorrow. I'd love to see the Royals come from out of nowhere, but they're at home. And, because of the All-Star game being won by the American League, they've got the home field advantage now. And they can win 2 in a row. They've done it before. So tune in tonight, 8:07.
I think I speak for everybody when I say can't wait for it to be over.
Woo! And according to the television ratings, you weren't the only one. But that's still not going to stop me from
As
enjoying
predicted
baseball.
by me.
I still love my
I think
baseball.
they still get better ratings than hockey, though. That's unusual.
Hey,
Let's go Pens.
let's go Steelers. Here we go.
We'll get a segment there.
We
Don't
got
you
a
worry.
segment. We got a
How about
segment.
we have Z time right now? Would that be okay, Z?
Yeah, it's always good to have Z time.
All right, that's enough again.
Don't write over Dave Cable's note.
I can't believe he got it now.
And
I heard him yelling at him last week in
It
the
happens.
parking lot.
it ain't easy being greasy.
What's on Z time?
Well,
Any subject or?
it's gotten tougher to stay on track with Z time because it's like
Your fans want to know.
it's like strip mining in the woods. That with Al Levine's new format, he's kind of taken away a lot of my gas and my bravado with his little segments, and they're trying to.
Here they are. They're coming
They're trying to
out,
reel
baby.
everything
That's
in.
why I let you look at them.
I just want to talk about my disappointment on Saturday afternoon being a Pitt fan. Being a Pitt
All right,
fan
we'll scratch
in the
it.
city of Pittsburgh is one of the hardest and most disappointing things to be in the city is to be a fan of the University of Pittsburgh. They've let me down more than my father ever could. And
You know what?
on
This
Saturday
is a
being-
personal
on
segment.
Saturday, being down at Heinz Field, sitting where I was
You
sitting,
know what? I'm getting emotional.
before I could even get my
Did he say what I
nachos
thought?
or my drink, it was
Where'd you sit at?
28-0.
Were there
University
5
of Georgia
fumbles or
Tech.
something? Because I missed the start of the game.
Yeah.
And then I saw it and I shut it off.
So did the Pitt football team.
Yeah. It's funny how you bring
it was
that up.
homecoming too,
Wow.
which was they had
Shout out
Johnny,
to Chuck Bonasort.
Shout out to Chuck Barnesford, even though I didn't see him anywhere.
He was there.
He was out in the parking lot still then.
No, he made it inside. Then I heard he left.
I didn't see him. But that's neither here nor there. I want to give a shout out to legendary Pitt coach Johnny Majors, who was in attendance. Coach Majors was and is a legend and will go down as one of the best coaches ever at the University of Pittsburgh. Here's another fact that I didn't know. The University of Pittsburgh, Pop Warner was a coach of the Pitt Panthers. I believe in 1920, Pop Warner was a coach of the Pitt Panthers. So
Probably guided them to the Rose Bowl.
that's a little
How about
nugget
Jock
of
Sutherland, too,
useless
another
information
legend.
for you guys. And I just have a question because I never went to Pitt Stadium or attended over there. You know, obviously I know what Chip's opinion is, and Smoking Jim's probably as well. But should the University of Pittsburgh, strongly consider building its own facility in Oakland to play football if the land or it comes up?
Well, and here, personally, I think it would be a great idea, but I think everything that Pitt does would not warrant the justification of building the stadium, because the idea behind building the stadium would be to get people to fill it, okay? And they seem to be more comfortable playing in front of empty seats than they are in trying to encourage people coming to the games. And, I mean, they just do nothing to get any buzz to get you excited about the team. I'm saying it doesn't matter.
Football-wise, you're speaking of
Football-wise,
Yeah.
well,
basketball.
basketball, after they beat 12 high school teams, then they start playing the regular season, then that's when everything changes. But that has been argued, but, the facts of the matter are with the way that the medical community in Oakland is spreading, that money,
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Well,
We're going to get more money through medicine.
Since your
than
alma
football.
mater is Baldwin High School, and obviously Dave Wannstedt is a huge alumni from the university, I personally miss Dave Wannstedt because I felt like Dave Wannstedt, if he did anything, he at least recruited well, especially in southwestern Pennsylvania, and that's something that we just totally lack right now. I mean, some guys don't have a choice due to academics and such, that they just go to Pitt by default because they couldn't get it anywhere
I think
else.
that black coach would have done good
Well,
if he didn't go to jail.
I think he had anger issues.
No, you know what, Zach? And then I, Dave Wannstedt, went to my high school. One of his sisters I graduated with. The one thing that you lose sight of, he was very popular because he was a local boy and he did well. Did well as a coach of the Dolphins. Did well as an assistant coach with the Cowboys with Jimmy Johnson at the University of Miami. But, you think about all of the things that Dave Wannstedt did in the weakest division in major college football. He couldn't win a title, not even once. I mean, they couldn't even win the Big East. They got beat by teams like, Connecticut. And I was there when they lost that heartbreaker to Cincinnati on the last game of the season in a snowstorm where they lost 45 to 44 or something.
One point.
It was insane. But he did a great job. Now, half the kids that he recruited ended up spending time as guests of the Allegheny County
Some of
Correctional
them went on
Department
to the pros,
more
though.
often than not. So they were trying to clean up the image of the program, and
What can you do?
what can you do?
And they didn't fill Pitt Stadium. Even with big games from Notre Dame and others, there were a few sellouts, but it was hard to sell out even then when it was on campus. You had to walk up Cardiac Hill. So
Well, in Pitt Stadium actually sat more people than Three Rivers Stadium.
right, and it was hard to fill that on campus. So you can go back and maybe Google it. Maybe there were a few more sellouts, but we'll see. And that's Z time. All right, Chip, you get the pick out of our list here.
We're gonna talk Steelers because there's been a resurgence in the Steelers. 5-3.
2 in a row.
5-3. It's amazing what 2 wins would do. Watching that game on Sunday, I had to put a post out on Facebook. I was calling for Todd Haley's firing after Ben threw his 6th touchdown pass because I thought, what a pathetic offensive performance. If we can't perform any better than this with the athletes that we have, it must be the offensive coordinator's fault. But,
Just like he shouldn't get the credit or the blame. It's the athletes. If you have the horses, I'm about the horses.
And I agree with Alan completely. I mean, when they do poorly, it's the coach's fault. We need to fire them all. And when they do well, it's the players. The coaches don't get any of the credit. And I always think that it's the players that either win the game or lose the game because they're the ones that are in between the lines, either making the plays or not making the plays. The thing I found most impressive about Sunday's game is that Ben Roethlisberger dropped back 49 times, and he did not get put on his fanny once. That is amazing, especially since Mike Adams played the whole game. And he pass blocked well. He run blocked well. I mean, maybe this kid is not as soft as my friend Jim here.
Let's see.
No, he's soft. Believe me, he's soft.
You know what? He played a hell of a game
He's
on
a
Sunday.
Pop-Tart. He's soft in the middle.
I'll tell you
When
what.
you heat it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he played a very good game on Sunday, as did the entire offensive line. If you noticed, Ben was back there and he was able
He had time.
to take second, third, receivers. He was throwing the ball.
I have to take exception to one decision in the front office. To give Cortez Allen $28 million is to just take $28 million and light it on fire.
Well, you know what?
I'm just glad Luck didn't
Rooney's
realize
must be
he was
printing our
soft.
money.
It took Luck a while to figure out what was going on.
And Cortez Allen was the obvious weak link in that game. I mean, I thought actually the Steelers' defensive line and their linebackers. I actually saw Jason Worlds. He showed up.
Wow.
It took him the
Harrison.
8th game of the season.
James Harrison
showed
showed
up.
up for the
James
first
Harrison.
time.
Diesel showed up.
I mean,
Oh, he's been there.
even though we only got 2 sacks,
It's your boy.
Andrew Luck got beat up on Sunday. He got hit
He's late
every
advance.
time he threw the ball.
He showed a lot of heart. Too.
Well, he showed a lot of heart, but I'm telling you, any quarterback, you hit him enough times, you're going to knock him off his game. And I love the way the Steelers put the foot on the accelerator, and they never let up. They came out at the start of the second half.
Well, because
Drove it down.
of what Luck does.
But-
He's like a younger version of Big Ben with a better offensive line normally.
Well, I don't think it's what Luck does. I think it's what our defense allows people to do is what the thing was.
Well, he has some pretty good stats in his career.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know I want an investigation, Jim Frazier, if you ever watch game tape, which you say you do, on what happened at the very end of the game where for some reason Ben Roethlisberger decided that he was going to channel his inner Johnny Manziel and run around like on like a naked boot and just
he got
get
blasted.
waxed.
Oh,
he got
Haley
waxed.
called that one.
No, he didn't. No.
I'm kidding. Ben said he called it because
Yeah.
everybody's happy after a win like that.
Yeah.
Wait till another loss comes out. You'll see all the daggers. And what do you guys think about Baltimore?
Well,
We're at a 2-game home winning streak, which is great. This is the
Let me just
third.
say just 2 things before
You
we
say
get
a
into
couple. Go
Baltimore.
ahead. You're the NFL scout. Come on.
One, I guess the new pit script on the side of the helmet didn't help.
Nope.
And
it looked good.
How does a script help you normally?
in the second,
I'm still looking at
It was
that.
the worst
cover.
script for a first quarter.
I
you
like
could
it
ever-
though. It looked great.
I'm not sure normally, like you said, Chip, whether it's the players or the coaching. I just know that it's the coaching in Arizona. and one thing to think about before the end of the show, the 1956, who finished in the top 3 in the Heisman voting in 1956? And you can save it. You may know it, Chip. You can save it to the
know.
end of the show. But go ahead with Baltimore. I tell you what,
What do
it's
you think?
interesting because they're retiring Joe Green's jersey.
Shouldn't that fire him up?
Well, if any of them even
See,
any
Jim-
know
No, he's
anything
around,
about
though,
history.
so
Jim
they see him.
Frazier-
No, not anymore. He retired.
I'm
No,
gonna
but
give
they
you a
see
little,
him.
I'm gonna channel my inner John Madden
I'm
here,
going to tell
folks.
you something. I'm really looking forward to watching Joe Green's jersey get retired because I remember
You want
when
a
Joe
Coke.
Green was
You want a Coke.
was drafted.
Hey,
Yeah,
look,
me too. Like I
look,
said,
Jim,
I become a
look,
fan.
Jim, look,
now.
if you take a 5, check this out. You go like this, boom, you got an 8. If you take the 3 and you go like this, boom, you got 8-8. So that's how fast 5 and 3 can turn into 8-8.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what I'm not.
That's
That's what I'm
good.
not hoping for.
Was that
Boom.
3
I
lines that you
picked-
put on there?
I picked this right here,
How
10
did
and
that
6.
happen?
Bang, like tough acting to acting.
10 and 6.
That's what I'm going for.
Well,
10 and
you know,
6 and in the mix.
I think actually
Will they
when,
win this week?
when the Steelers played the Ravens the first time this year, being
Should've
it
beat
was
'em.
4 days after their first game, there really wasn't much of a buzz for the Ravens game, But this week we've got the whole week to build up to it, and now this game has got something on the line. Both of us are 5 and 3, and I think whoever gets bumped off this weekend may not have much of a chance to win the division. Even though they may still end up in the playoffs. Baltimore has already been beaten twice by the Bengals this year.
Really?
Yes, they have.
And that hurts.
So they're 1-0 against us. If we can just split with them, and hopefully beat the Bengals twice, we could end up winning this division.
Is Lil Z wearing the Ravens jersey?
No, that's
No,
Halloween.
this is my Halloween costume. It's a
okay.
Ray Rice jersey, and I have a doll out in the parking lot that I drag around with me everywhere I go until Halloween.
Insensitivity.
Not funny.
Not good. Not good. The Sandbox Boys strike again. We'll have to have a separate segment on.
And you have to Pittsburgh?
I got Pittsburgh winning. I don't know if they can get to 11-5 because I sort of gave up on that 11-5. But with this little resurgence that we have offensive history being made, I think the players said we can't get Haley fired, so let's play.
Well, you know what?
It's a simple thing.
Jim has been
Let's
highly
play.
critical of the Steelers' recent draft picks, but I think 2 of their recent draft picks that I think are going to pay dividends for us is Martavis Bryant and Marcus Wheaton. They both stepped up, played real good games, made a lot of nice catches this past weekend.
Somebody said Brian had a big drop that could have been
77-yard touchdown. Yeah,
Yeah,
They
he did.
compared
It
him
was
to
a little
Limas
sketchy
Sweet, but they
throw.
said he could catch. So my thing is, you can't compare him to Limas Sweet then if he can catch.
I'm a sweet had good hands in college.
It changes in the pros. It's a faster
Yes.
game.
But
What do you like?
But the one thing that I do like that I'm hearing on
Okay.
the local radio networks
Don't go by that.
is people are finally locally giving Antonio Bryant credit for maybe
Antonio
being
Brown.
the best receiver in all of football. Always
Antonio
said
Brown.
Right now,
Yeah, without
he's
You said
leading the
Brian.
league
You're
in
stuck on the
receptions.
kid.
that
He's leading the league in receptions with 60, and he's got 850 yards receiving, which is number 2 in the league. And
Yeah.
tell you what, he's doing it all. He's the number 1 target. They're doubling and tripling him, and he's still finding a
I
way
don't
to
think
get
size
free.
matters. Everybody says you got to be a tall wideout. He's getting it done at his size.
Well,
He
when you get
grinds it
thrown
out.
to about 7 or 8 times, if you catch 5 to keep the record alive, I mean that helps.
He makes people
I mean
miss.
that's all you need.
He's not
5
afraid
a
to come
game.
over the middle. He comes on those,
He takes some hard hits, and even when he's losing yards, he still looks good catching the ball. it's a bubble strain.
If you if you pay attention, watch your film, run the routes correctly. I mean, you can, they're. He's an amazing football
So
player.
Smoking Jim Frazier likes the Steelers against the Ravens.
No. Uh-oh. There's decision time.
Well,
Zach, who
there's-
do you
there's a
like?
pause. Well, obviously, I will never pick against the Steelers.
Never.
No,
They never lose then. Okay.
no, they lose, but I don't. I mean,
Okay,
you know.
Pete Rose.
I understand.
Pete Rose.
What do you
bet on
think,
his team
Smoking
to
Jim?
win.
Can they do 3 in a
every
row at
game.
home?
Huh?
With you in attendance and whoever you're bringing
It's
to
a
the
night
game.
game. It's exciting. Joe Green's jersey's return. I just don't see the Steelers winning 3.
After all that.
I just don't.
That
see
was all good stuff. Okay.
13-10 Pittsburgh.
Wow.
It's going to be a
it.
knockdown.
Both teams
drag.
know each other pretty good.
Oh yeah, they're going to get. It's going to be a fist fight.
I don't know the score, and I know whatever Vegas does, a lot of people follow that because they have friendly bets. They don't
It's
gamble.
going to come down to a field goal at the end.
It'll be close. It normally is, but I'm all in on the Steelers. I think they want to play to win now.
Well, one thing we know, Cortez Allen ain't calling out Steve Smith.
I'm going 21-17 Steelers.
We got to
I've
give a
been on the
score.
money.
We got to give a score. 17-14.
Yeah,
Steelers.
Steelers Ravens games. It's,
Chip went
they
13-10.
I
offenses
had to
seem
up
to go to
it. I
sleep.
think the offense is
You
good.
know,
35-17 Ravens. I think
What's
they,
the point spread?
I think they can make.
What's the
Steelers-
injury
I
report?
think they can make the Steelers quit in there.
Really? All right,
yeah,
Chip. What do you like
we're
next?
gonna-
We
we're gonna
covered
go- We're
Steelers.
going to go to the Pens. And
They're playing tonight.
They're playing tonight, and guess what? Jim's favorite hockey player is in town this evening.
And with the Devils.
Double J, Yarmer Yager.
Yay!
With the Devils. He's 42 years old, and
Got me
he's
in
still
He has 6 points already.
playing.
Smoking, Jim,
2
can you
goals,
believe
scores
it?
a score
42
assist.
years old.
My
The
favorite.
guy is
I know how to
playing.
pick him.
You do. You don't
But-
pick many.
But, you know, the matchup for tonight is that the Penguins have the most efficient power play in the league right now. They're converting at 40%. The Devils have the second most proficient power play. They're converting at 28%. Now, the only problem that the Devils are having is that their penalty kill is they're getting scored on 69% of the time. So,
Well, we have an issue with
So-
our PK.
well, ours isn't nearly as bad as what the Devils is, but you know, it seems like the Penguins are going through some growing pains. You know, and we wish a speedy recovery to Olli Mata. Yesterday it was announced that he's got a tumor on his thyroid that will be removed
Yeah.
next week. They
He's
feel
still
that
going
it's-
to play, huh?
Hold it. Late breaking news from Devin Shea in the control room. 1-1. Tie game at the end of one.
Thanks, Devin
Man.
Shea, my
Thank you,
man.
Marc Andre, for not giving
But
up.
Olli Mata's got a tumor that's going to be removed. They say there's a very high likelihood that it is cancerous, that he's not going to need surgery, not going to need chemo or anything like
Right.
that. So wish him a speedy recovery. He's playing tonight. He'll be playing Thursday and Saturday night, and then he'll be going
Well,
into
who was the
surgery.
Penguin guy that almost broke his neck and played the next game? Them hockey players are tough.
The hockey players are a different
You know who
breed.
I'm talking
yes,
about?
I know. I know.
No,
you
how
know.
about Talkett had a broken jaw, and he went into the locker room, and he come out, got wired up, and he started playing.
Kevin Stevens was
See,
a tough
here's-
guy too.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the only problem. Hockey's are tough guys all around, and it's a great sport, and it's a great sport such a great sport to watch live. Here's the problem with hockey, and you heard it here first from my brother. Is the problem with hockey? Reason why I'll never be very successful on TV, and you can listen to this, Devin Shea, is because the hockey fans know there'll never be another Wayne Gretzky.
OMG.
You know what? I heard Devin Shea yell out of the control room.
OMG.
He just blew out the Tigers'
I
night.
have
I
had
thought
this
you were going to
debate.
say this so they can figure out a way to play the game on something warmer than ice.
Hold it, they have it. A friend of ours, Marty Coyne, has Future Skate. They have a synthetic ice surface.
Really?
Yeah, he was on our show. I know you guys.
It was at Sips.
It was at Sips.
I was there.
Marty was there. Future Skate, it's called. Go
Just
look
watch
at it
people
online.
skate on ice, you
Synthetic.
catch a chill.
Well, Smoking Jim, since he is
The last
an
time
expert.
Smoking Jim went to the hockey rink, it was for a boxing match down on the console, and it had nothing to do with ice hockey.
And
the
you
only
know
close
what?
he
He
got
said-
to Zamboni was Sammy Vasquez coming in on it.
No, and you know what was bad for him?
And who was driving the Zamboni? Macaroni Tony?
And the worst part about it for Smoking Jim, which you guys didn't know, is his $250 leather shoes, he wore no socks. So he had frostbite. That's why he doesn't like hockey, and that's why he feels that Wayne Gretzky was the best. He forgot about a legend, 6'6", Lemieux,
Never
who
worked-
had no players with him for years.
didn't have the work ethic of Wayne Gretzky. In the
It
offseason.
didn't matter. He was like 6'4". He was a beast. He was fast. He had how many people score
You
and
think
all the
he-
ways.
check the
You think he
stats,
was
Smoking
better than
Jim.
Wayne Gretzky?
I'm from
Yes.
Pittsburgh. Yes.
Yes.
You know,
the
how many
magnificent one.
How many,
You know,
how
you
many
know,
Stanley Cups did
League
Wayne win?
magnificent.
He only went two.
How many Stanley Cups did
Two.
Wayne Gretzky win?
Oh, about 5. But he had like 19 players that
He
went
had
to
that
the
in
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he had an unbelievable
You know how many
team.
Lemieux had? He had Robbie Brown that he kept hitting pucks off him. He scored 49
He had
goals.
Yager.
I think it's Lemieux and Barrasso that are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yager's going to be in the Hall of
Let
Fame.
me tell you
He
something.
didn't have
He
Yager
won't
the whole
quit.
time.
He had Yager.
He won't. Wait a second.
They won
Yager
championships
won't
together.
quit. He can't go to the Hall of Fame till you retire.
Right, and he's not going to retire because
Yeah.
he's trying to pay off his gambling debts.
Yeah, because Macaroni Tony's looking for Yager. He's going to shake him down tonight.
What's $1 million at the table? It doesn't matter.
But you know,
When you got 30,
speaking of hockey players, you know, we talk about Gretzky, we talk about Lemieux because we're Pittsburghers, and of course, You know, we're
Great.
very fond of Mario, and Wayne Gretzky did break every record in hockey, but the person
they
whose
call him-
record
And he also did it before the NHL
person
too.
whose records he broke was Gordie Howe, who's the second greatest hockey player
Yeah.
to ever live.
You don't
And
forget the man.
can you explain to him Gordie Howe is?
He's
There-
white.
He played
There
And
was
he
a
had-
merger, though.
and he
There
had-
was a merger, though, that
Oh,
needs to
exactly.
be talked about. A lot of Gretzky's statistics were put up, before.
Smoking Jim doesn't know that.
There
He
was a
won't
merger,
acknowledge
Smoking
that.
Jim.
kind of merged.
Explain merger, not
You
murder.
know how you
Merger.
got
Merger.
Herschel Walker and some of those guys.
Warren Moon.
When there was that merger.
Yeah, great
And the-
ones. Great ones, yeah.
Well, there was a merger in the NHL where they absorbed
Just really briefly,
what
we
was
had
it,
boxing
Levine?
and MMA.
The WHL or something like that.
It was the WHL.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the NHL absorbed the WHL, and that's Gretzky was tearing it up for years in the WHL.
Gretzky
Lemieux
was
did
hockey.
it only in the NHL.
No,
If it wasn't
yeah.
for Gretzky, listen, the reason
He was very much responsible for the expansion of the NHL.
you know why I
Yeah.
say the greatest baseball player of all time was Babe Ruth, even though my favorite baseball player was Pete Rose. You got to say Babe Ruth was the greatest baseball player of all time because when baseball was financially crippled, Babe Ruth single-handedly saved baseball because everywhere he went,
sold out.
sold out stadiums,
Right.
which saved franchises. Wayne Gretzky saved hockey.
Well-
Everybody knew Wayne Gretzky in the world, especially here in North America. Is
Wayne
this North
Gretzky-
America?
Yeah.
Because of
This is
Wayne
America,
Gretzky.
but
he
North
saved
Wayne
hockey.
Gretzky sold out a hockey arena in Southern California.
That's amazing.
Think about that. Hockey
Give me some
expanded
brother.
into
And
Florida. Now, Florida is not traditionally a
insane.
place that gets a lot of winter weather.
Who did that?
You know,
Gretzky.
well,
Gretzky
Gretzky's
did it again.
responsible for the expansion of the NHL all
Yeah.
throughout the United States. Phoenix.
There's a guy right now named
Why they
Gary
call him the
Bettman
Great
that
Man.
just fell out of his chair if he's watching this show. That'll take
Oh, yeah, he
exception.
is.
Gary Bettman is
Well,
a
let me
huge
tell you
reason.
something. Little Gary
He's
Bettman,
watching out of New
if
York.
he fell out of his chair, he didn't fall far.
And he was in the he was also in the basement of a 50-story building, so he's
All right,
safe.
well, let's get moving on here. I wanted to bring up something. Tonight is the very first ever. They are going to put out the rankings for college football for the very first time
Playoff.
this week for the playoffs. So they're going to let you know who the top 4 teams are. Now, what this is supposed to
Mine
work,
is Florida State all the way.
the way this is supposed to work is each week they're gonna pick the top 4 teams, which are the ones that are going to be eligible for the playoff.
Right.
And there's no criteria as to who's going to be in the top 4 next week based on who's in the top 4 this week. It's all going to be based off of what they've done. So it will be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, Florida State's strong. Mississippi State has been very strong as well, and I would not
I'm
be
not
too
impressed.
surprised if the 4 teams that are in the top 4 are all SEC teams because they seem to be the
Well,
strongest
Florida
conference.
State got to be in there, right?
Well, that's an ACC school. You're correct.
Yeah. So,
Smoking Jim's on his A game tonight.
uh,
What did you have today?
well, the whole thing.
I know
is-
you ate all those wings at Rit. You
and,
know,
and we'll
Dudes.
probably have to revisit this before. I know I took a lot of heat last year from a friend of the show, Kamikaze Kid, when I was critical of the quarterback for Florida State. But this guy off the field, he got so much doggone baggage, man. I mean, he keeps beating cases and cases, but I tell you what, man, I smell a rat.
Well, you know what they say: where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
And what's happening now is we're getting into a world where people are getting sick and tired of these people getting away, breaking laws.
He's a
and,
clown.
he's going to be made an example of, and you watch, they'll drop the house on him, and then Jerry Jones will sign him for
Oakland might get
$150
him.
million.
I got a
Hold it. I
prediction that
predict
he-
Oakland will
that
get
he-
him in the
well, I
draft.
He'll be
don't
the
know.
next
0 and
Maurice
16.
Claret.
Well, the one thing we can say
Whoa.
and agree on is that Terrell Pryor was a 500 winning quarterback at Oakland Raiders. When they got rid of Terrell Pryor, within 4 or 5 games, not only didn't they have a win, they fired their coach. So we can all agree that that they made a bad decision trading Terrell.
Oh, I don't
Pryor.
care if they did.
Well, they
Doesn't mean a thing to me.
released him, and
I can't agree.
and he's still looking for a job, and
He got sleeves though.
He's
He got
blacklisted.
sleeves though. He got sleeves
We got
though.
Geno Smith lighting it up in New York.
Oh, you know I never liked him.
Yeah, I know you did.
Put Lee
But hey,
Simon
what?
first.
Let's wrap up the show. We've got some boxing, some MMA coming up. That's Zach and Al.
Yeah, well, boxing.
Forte here.
I want to at least touch on boxing. Shout out to Paul Spadafora traveling out to Vegas.
To do what?
And my
Dan
boy
Jay made a great quote. Zach and I were talking about it. When you hang around with champions out there, you fight like the champion. So we're looking at big things with Paul
What's he
in his
doing?
final fight. He's out there training in
What do you mean
Vegas.
final?
He said it's going to be his last fight, so it might be a
know
big
nothing
one.
about it.
Well, these
We
are
got-
late breaking news
I was
for you.
telling
Wow.
you yesterday about some Vegas
Oh,
information.
you was
And then we got another guy, Stevie Upshur, even though he wears a San Francisco hat, he's in Berlin right now. And then another of our boxing guys that we've had on, a champion, had a belt, Jason Bergman's in Poland.
Yeah.
Really?
So I'm trying to give you what's going on. All these guys from Pittsburgh Sportsline are traveling
Trying to
around.
Great car.
Then Rod Sulka, he's out there and getting their
Center.
Cole Center. So he's traveling
Bonola, right?
too.
Is he down at Cole Center in Bonola?
No, he's in Cole Center. Benola,
Okay.
he's left that alone. That's the
Cole
hometown.
Center, that's down south of Charleroi, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's some of the updates. We got boxing November 14th, Sammy Vasquez. We got Monte Meza Clay, My Life's a Movie, fighting Rod Sulka.
Sad.
So we'll check that out. Zach, any more boxing you want to bring to the table here?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Dennis Gibson, a good friend of the show and a good friend of all.
Oh, to
of ours,
Dennis
for winning.
Corleone. He changed his name. Your
Well,
cousin.
He's not really a Corleone.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's not. Anyways,
It's on
I
Facebook.
want to give a shout out to There's what touchdown maker. What is it?
I don't know.
Gabrielle Baker.
It doesn't say Gabrielle Baker. It says like envy me or love me or.
All right, we're
something,
talking
but
boxing.
That's neither here nor there. What
Regardless of that.
See, made me lose my train of thought because you got me.
I know, I'm trying.
Old age
Boxing.
kicking in.
old
Boxing,
age
buddy.
kicking
What
in.
happened?
Well,
How about MMA? You
No,
want to
I
talk?
was talking. You got me talking about Corleone. His name's Dennis Gibson. So let's stick with what his name
Okay.
is. Dennis Gibson.
I just friended
his
him.
real name. If this is Jim Frazier, that is Dennis Gibson.
Hey, don't give my government.
So well, that's allegedly what you said it was. You said it wasn't. So
Oh,
Dennis Gibson
my.
finally won a Pride title.
Yes, he did. He
in
has
the
a
city-
belt.
in the city of Pittsburgh, as did Keontae Irving from World Class Boxing. So I want to give a shout out to those two local guys.
And another local fighter who we saw, Cameron Donnelly, won a belt. Young gentleman won a belt. You know, Rich Donnelly, his dad joined Facebook. His mother's on there. We posted about the boxing in Southside, the showdown on Southside. They're responsible with Pittsburgh Boxing 51. A lot of big things happening out of that gym too. So, and then Keontae Irving, he won a title, for the Yankelos.
Wow.
Another shout out. So a lot of guys that have been around the show that we've announced their fights are doing
Coming
well.
up, Big Mike Shook, another friend of the show. He's going to be fighting for a title out here coming up here in the next month.
Yes, he is. So we'll look forward to that.
Oh, Shook gonna be scary on Halloween.
Well, then we got MMA. We're looking at MMA on the 26th, right before Thanksgiving. Check that out at South Point. We'll have you more details, and maybe some of the fighters will come on. We might have an interview coming up here with
Death
the
Star.
Death Star Worthy. So we got a lot of things going on. I'm going to close this out with thanks to Dave Cable. I was MC for the first annual Zombie Walk. You have to check the video out. Yes, I did get bit. I don't know if I'll turn like in Walking Dead. Anybody that watches it knows what I mean. And they were attacking me, but they did raise some funds for the scholarship fund. And it helps. Dave Cable started that so you can help people like John the Tiger Kiger, Devin Shea, and even adults. You don't have to do well in school. You have to do civic community work. So thanks also to Dukes. At Rib House had a great time. We're going to be at the River City Inn this Monday. That's in downtown Pittsburgh. Check it out. We got a lot of guests going to be appearing there. We'll see you then. Drive safely. Happy Halloween. Watch for the children. It's getting dark out there. Be safe.
Here comes the monster. The Tickle Monster.
Just imagine what a little time can do for your family.